Tyreek Hill, a major risk walking into the remainder of 2024 fantasy football. So from week number 13 on, if you're not buying him low, which is a different vantage point, there is a world where you buy CeeDee Lamb low, you buy Christian McCaffrey low, you buy Tyreek Hill low. When you're buying pennies on the dollar, when you're buying from Panic Peters that are like, I got to get rid of this player, Smitty. What do I do, Smitty? Do I get rid of him for a ham sandwich? Those situations, I'm okay. Vantage point, context matters, but in the general scheme, this guy's in trouble. Let's plot him on the risk map and take a look at what his risk level is compared to his upside. On the risk map, if you don't know what this is and haven't seen it before, let me enlighten you. This is where we take a player and we plot them on the risk map and we say, where do they fall in terms of lack of risk? 0 being absolutely the worst risk in the world. And we don't even talk about players that are below 5. Okay, so if you're a 5, that's horrible. If you're a 10, that means you have no risk at all. On the upside part of this chart, 10 is absolutely the most upside known to man. 5 is, again, at the very lowest of where we go. The scale goes from 0 to 10. So if somebody was very risky and didn't have a ton of upside, they would fall in this bottom quarter or off the map if they were below 5 and 5 on those scales. If someone was a unicorn, which is in this box, that means they have 0 risk. They are a 10 out of 10 in terms of lack of risk. They are a 10 out of 10 in terms of upside. They would be a unicorn. They would be in the top right corner of this box. To give you a little clarity, let's put Tyreek Hill right in the middle because we're not going to plot him yet. Let's use Saquon Barkley, who just rumbled for 302 total yards and 2 touchdowns in week 12. Let's put Saquon Barkley on this risk map so you get a feel. So for 2024 context, go forward. We're not talking about 2025. We're not talking about dynasty. I'm defining this risk map to be relevant to only weeks 13 through 17. Saquon Barkley, because of his injury history and workload, would have some sort of risk. We wouldn't put him at a 10 out of 10 for lack of risk. We probably put him somewhere around 9, maybe 8.5 because of his injury history. But because you only have weeks 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's 5 weeks to go. Barkley's not going to rank any lower than 9 or 8 with 5 weeks to go, with the way he's playing, with how in good a shape he is, the state of the offensive line, the state of what this team looks like. He's a 9 in terms of lack of risk right now going forward. Now, 2025 would be different. He might have more risk because of the mileage. We'll tackle that in the offseason. But Barkley, let's give him a 9 out of 10 for lack of risk, which is the second highest score you can really get, right? Upside is 10. He's a unicorn. He's a unicorn. He's sitting in the unicorn box. The only reason he's not in the top right corner is because of a little bit of injury history, which we're not concerned about with 5 weeks left of football. He is a unicorn. Now, Tyreek Hill has absolutely no upside beyond this red box. You could even argue he's a 5 in terms of upside because he's done nothing. Not only has he done nothing, his quarterback has been back for several weeks. He has still done nothing. He doesn't even get targeted in the middle of the field, in between the 20s. He's used near the red zone. We're being lied to probably about his injuries right now. I bet you anything there's going to be something that comes out that there was something more grave than we know about because teams lie to us. So Tyreek Hill, I would say he's a 5. Maybe a 5 or 6 in terms of upside. There's no 10, there's no 9, there's no 8, there's no safe zone, there's no strong territory for Tyreek Hill. He is below an 8. He's probably barely above a 5. And his lack of risk score is nowhere near 10, 9, 8. He's not in a strong or safe zone whatsoever. He's probably one of the most risky players. In fact, I think 5 is probably too high for his lack of risk because he's got a torn ligament in his wrist. He has a torn ligament in his wrist. There's a real strong chance that Tyreek Hill is below a 5 in lack of risk, but we'll put him right here, which means if you can get out, you get out. When you fall in this red zone, this no-go zone, it's time to say goodbye. In the context of what we're talking about, weeks 13 through 17, he's a complete avoid. Unless you're getting him for free from a Panic Peter and you're willing to take a little bit of a chance on something that won't even affect your lineup. That's the kind of buy low I'm talking about. Past that, you own him, panic. You own him, you got to try and get rid of him. Can you get anybody to buy him 1-for-1? No, you've got to get creative and do some sort of 2-for-2. You got to take a chance on a Pacheco who hasn't come back yet. You have to take a chance on an injured player or a down bad player like Neighbors with his situation, CeeDee Lamb with his situation. You have to go laterally to another risky situation. There's no way anybody's just going to give you something great for Tyreek Hill unless you couple a quarterback. Let's say you got Burrow and you got another quarterback you believe in, AR5, and you're like, I'm just going to risk it with AR5. And I'm going to send Burrow away, Burrow and Hill, to get one safer wide receiver like Mike Evans. You know, you go get Mike Evans in a situation like that, that could be solid. We have a lot of people panicking on Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams would also be a very good player to go get in a quarterback and Tyreek Hill type of trade. And some of you can't trade right now. And I get that. Some of you, your trade deadline's over. This is a conversation maybe between you and I to say, who else do you have on your bench to put in over Tyreek Hill? You got Bucky Irving, fire him up. You got another running back or a wide receiver that's doing pretty well right now. Might be time to fire them up. I'm not saying sit him in every scenario, but I'm here to tell you that he is a big risk. And taking this and wrapping it up, it's not just for those of you that can trade, like, oh, I'm not going to watch this video. There is some dynasty impact to this. There is some 2025 impact, even redraft 2025 impact. What does this look like for 2025? This man is Ziggy. How old is Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill is 30 years old and was born on March 1st, 1994.
He turns 31, ladies and gentlemen. He has been firing off that hamstring for some time. You hear the paper-thin hamstring comment whenever you talk about speedy wide receivers, Deshaun Jackson. Tyreek Hill's time is probably done as an elite player. And I think, you know, a lot will depend on where his ADP falls next year, whether we invest at all in 2025. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live whenever big news breaks, and live most graveyard shifts at midnight, because we built this, Smitty, on graveyard shows. Appreciate you.
Hey, Chan. Hey, Chan is the man. His haters call him small,
but he is 9 feet tall.
Chan is the man.